Okay, so now we're moving on to the cleaning of things, and you wanna get inside the handles. Now you can see here there's a lot of grease and muck, so I'm going to use just some general degreaser stuff and just get it on spray and clean it out. And no, this is not for coronavirus, not for germs, no, but I'm pretty sure YouTube is going to demonetize me anyways. Okay, now the handles are usually I don't know if you can see here, there's still gunk in there, and I'm going to try a different way of cleaning. Now there's still a lot of areas that are really dirty, and usually I try to do this every year, maybe every other year, to have a nice clean box, because whenever you have a clean box and clean tools, it's like, you know, it makes working on your stuff more pleasant. Okay, now the corners, like I said, I'm going to try another thing. Usually the bottoms, you're not going to get a lot of dirt. And once we put the box together, I will be greasing up the rails as well. But what I plan on doing, I'm going to use some of these samples that they give them at car shows here. And I'll also do this as a review of these types of polishes and compounds. And we'll see which one does a better job. Okay, so I'm going to use this McGuire's Ultimate Compound. And let's see how it comes out. Now this is supposed to polish and clean at the same time, and so far I'm not seeing lots of cleaning other than making a mess everywhere. And as far as the compound and shining, I'm only doing the areas that you're going to see, so the top parts of the inner walls, and obviously the face of the drawer itself. As far as this compound, it sucks, at least for this shoe. Look at that. Nah, I want something that is better. So, because these kind of compounds, they're meant for car paint where you're not going to be touching it a whole lot. And toolboxes, well, they get dirty. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it leaves a lot of smudges. And now I did try this little Dremel thing. I tried it with this attachment, I tried it with all the other attachments, and it didn't really do much. Ultimately, in the end, what I did for cleaning the tough spots like here and obviously up here was used magic eraser. I learned this from the military. A magic eraser will do miracles, and you know, if it's good enough to pass a military bathroom inspection for your dorms, it's good enough for pretty much cleaning out anything else. So there you go. Check this out. Alright, so this one's a little dirtier. Just gonna use a vacuum. And then don't be afraid to use enough of it. Now this is powder coated paint, so you're gonna see residue, red, obviously because the toolbox is red, but you're gonna see stuff that what the hell is that? Okay. I wouldn't go too nuts well, when it comes to the cleaning. Now also you want to be careful with these edges here. I did cut myself pretty bad. We're back with the magic eraser, and as you can see, it's going to leave residue. Whatever this kind of sponge and stuff that's inside it, it's just really good at cleaning and getting in, especially these tight corners and stuff. Now, this particular shelf has been on my bottom box. You're going to see some areas that start showing rust. There's a little bit of pitting right around here where typically moisture gets. But that's where I'm going to show you the trick that I use to keep these boxes and all that, to keep them looking good with time. My tool oil. Now I've tried using the wax. Wax doesn't seem to do much good. So I use a pretty healthy dose of oil, and I just wipe down the front of the box. Put more oil here. And the oil will protect from corrosion. Okay, so now we got our box fairly as clean as it's going to be. Back to using our crazy glue. And I'm just gonna dab a little bit. And try to hold it in place there. Now, yeah, it does stick to your hands really quickly. And basically what I'm trying to do is save myself the work of recutting a whole entire new one. Now, these aren't ripped here, but they are really weak points. Like I said, this is my first mat. So you can tell I was still learning how to cut, what to do. But the reason why I'm pointing that out is that yours may look the same. It's not meant to be a laser perfect cut. It's looking pretty okay. Now I did wash the top part a little bit. This was filthy and they will get dirty. You can wash them with just some general cleaner or degreaser. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit more. And we're gonna go back to our drawer.
A few moments later.
Alright, so the kits usually come in with something like this. It looks like a screw and these little felt type tips. I think this is the way they're gonna go. Whatever. I am testing out the cleaning ability of polishing out these, not polishing, just cleaning. I'm making sure they're nice and neat. I'm gonna use my oil instead of the, and actually I don't want to use it on this because I will still chop meat on that. Alright, plan B, because I'm not very happy with how this is working. I tried the Dremel with this thing and I'm not very happy with what it's doing. So I'm going to go back to my old methods, but I need a better, you know, like a regular old rag would be nice. Not a towel. Towels are not great. They soak up too much oil. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean each one of these with the rag, with oil, the old-fashioned way, because it seems like that's the best way these days. Alright, and the only thing I'm going to use the Dremel is to get inside some of these areas. A lot of this is not necessarily its own rust, it's probably rust from bolts that I've used, you know, the wrench on. Now what I do is I oil my tools, and at the same time I'm also checking for my etchings. Now maybe you'll do this, maybe you won't, but I put a marking on every single one of my tools just so I know they're from a particular box, because I have another 19mm in my smaller toolkit, and maybe I need two open end ones to do something, right? Now, sometimes I put it on the tool itself, sometimes I put it on the rag. The rag is already heavily imbibed with the oil, so a lot of times I don't have to put fresh oil, just wipe it down. And then you have tools that do have moving parts, and these, you do want to pay attention to the gunk that gets underneath, and eventually you may start to wear the tool out. You don't have to do this, but I like to etch my tools, okay? The trick with etching is to find a place that's not going to interfere, it's not going to damage the tool. Usually I like going for a handle. This particular one seems like, well, I can do a light etching here. One of the things I like doing is rubbing the oil inside the freshly etched tools, because sometimes you will be taking some of a little bit of the protection, like some of the paint or whatever powder coating these things come with, but it won't damage the tool. This is like standard procedure when it comes to the military. But try to be consistent when you do inventory your tools. You're going to check the etchings, like, okay, it belongs in this box. Now, with a tool like this, what I will do is, instead of etching it on the metal part, I'll etch it on the plastic part. It's easier and it doesn't, Okay. Now this tool has multiple pieces to it. Now sometimes, you may etch each individual piece. Technically that's what you're supposed to do. But since this tool is always meant to be with the cap there, I don't etch it. Now those are a little tricky. Technically, I will not be keeping these inside the box itself. They will go in a separate little shelf. Just because if I use one and toss it, whatever, this can fall into your carburetor, it could fall God knows where, and could cause damage, and I like keeping track of every little nut and bolt. Now as far as these are concerned, well, technically, since the packaging is still good, not sure if you can see that. Now as you can see, this has the markings of how many of each component it has. So there's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So that means you got 10 little components, but there's also an Allen wrench, which I'm going to use a permanent marker, and I'm going to mark 11 plus case. You notice that there's only 4 sets, because they're probably counting that one that's there. At least I think. Yeah, the copper ones. They're already mounted. So what does that, we also have extra retainer screws, the ones that are there, and the Allen wrench that goes to them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 parts total. So after I kind of, as I'm touching them, I'm also lubing them, by the way. And there's no real way to etch these tools. So what I'm going to do now is, we said 11 pieces. So right here I'm going to write 11 pieces plus case. So there's no confusion. The case itself can cause damage as well. Alright, so now we're going to put this in our little cutout, showing facing upwards. Then you got like your tools like this. Now this one's been part of the box, so it's already etched. I don't need to worry about that. But this one needs to be cleaned more thoroughly. Back to this. Alright, now I'm going to put some oil in there. I'm going to cycle through the whole thing just to make sure that all the gears get their share of lubrication, as well as exposing parts that usually dirt gets gunked in there, so you can get in like that. If the Dremel cooperated, the RPM on this thing and that brush is so soft that it's not going to take the chrome plating over the tool. Now we're going to take the excess off. This one doesn't need a lot of oiling. I just use whatever oil's left over. That's it. I try not to get oil on the gauge itself. I just give it a nice little clean. And that's it. Next step is going to be to clean up the box itself. Inside. Oil protects this metal. WD-40 just to last until I replace these. I also got some silicone spray and the heavy guns. We got the Teflon grease for the rails. Okay, let's clean the back of this. You know, it has been so long since I saw the back of this thing. Now we're going to use the silicone spray to just wipe them down if my spray nozzle actually worked the damn. Now, what I'm going to do is spray this on top. Now, I'm going to get some of the grease. And eventually this grease will kind of work its way underneath the rail here. WD-40 is going to wash away the heavier grease, the dirty crap with all the dust, while the Teflon stuff is going to remain in place. I mean, if you've ever used it, you know that this stuff is really worth its weight in gold. It's really good stuff. Okay, now let's move on to the next. See? Yeah, I feel a little rough, some of them. I may have to grease them again. This one feels good. Now, this one works. Okay. You see the bottom one is a little more rough, but that's usually going to happen with a bottom drawer. But like I said, it served me well. I know a lot of guys, here, let's do one of these. I know a lot of guys might like to brag, oh look at the big box I got, whatever. Stuff I have is not high end, it's not crazy. The whole idea is, with this channel, what I wanted to do was show that you can be obsessively into cars, like, you know, but without spending a crazy amount of money. And unfortunately times are changing, and it seems like the car hobby is more a status symbol. And there's a lot of people, a lot of young kids that are turned away that are saying, screw it. I don't care about no stupid cars, because they don't want to be looked down on because they got whatever. So this is Al Dak, my Barry, and I hope you have a great ride. Year anniversary. That's a snap-on. What the hell? I got a Mac box, not a snap-on. What the hell's that doing there? I may have mentioned this before, but let's say you got a random tool that's not supposed to be there. If you were just holding these, you know, just laying around in your toolbox, and you got something like this hiding underneath it, you may go nuts looking for the damn thing, and you won't find it. But when everything is laid out, and something like this is just sitting on top, you'll spot it, and then you can put it where it needs to go.